Now, first off, there's nothing wrong with starting small. Most people start with a few cows because they enjoy it. Some people just want beef for the freezer. Some want their kids just to be around livestock. Some eventually want to build a bigger operation. None of that is wrong. The problem usually isn't the dream. The problem is the order in which people make decisions. A lot of operations start with, what equipment do I need? Instead of, what can this place actually support? And those are two very different questions. Because cattle operations are built on forage first, not iron, not paint color, not monthly payments, grass first, then cows, and everything else supports that.
I'm not against equipment. We use equipment every day, but equipment is supposed to support profit, not replace it. This is where a lot of small operations get stuck. Let's say somebody buys a tractor. Well, unless you can just go out and pay cash for all of this stuff, you're going to have a payment. So let's say we have a tractor. That's going to be a payment. That could be a monthly payment, or if you get some type of ag loan, could be every 6 months or a yearly payment. Let's say you buy a trailer. That's another payment. A truck, payment. A brush hog, payment. You're selling calves one time a year. How are we making all these payments, folks? So now, all of a sudden, before the cows can even make money, the operation already has overhead. And the problem is, a small herd usually cannot support large payments. And that's what we've been talking about here. 40 acres. This is all going back to that 40-acre video that got so much attention. So instead of the cattle growing the operation, the owner ends up having to work off farm to support this equipment. And again, I'm not saying people shouldn't own equipment, that they shouldn't own nice things. We have equipment, we have nice things. What I'm saying is the cattle have to support the equipment eventually. If the operation never cash flows, which is hard to cash flow when we're making all these payments here, the operation never scales. That's why you see people with beautiful equipment and 10 cows. But the operation never actually grows beyond that.
The other thing that keeps small operations stuck is people completely forgetting the forage side. Everybody wants to ask, how many cows can I run? But the better question is, how much forage could this place produce? Because forage changes. Hay production changes. Rainfall changes. Cow size changes. And inputs change. Some years you've got grass everywhere. Other years you're feeding more hay than you ever wanted to. And if you build your operation around perfect conditions, eventually reality will catch up. That's why we talk about stocking rate, carrying capacity, and forage management so much on this channel, because the grass determines what the cattle operation can become.
Good operations usually are not built from the cab of a tractor. They are built from pasture management and decision making. So even if you had the capital to go out and pay cash for all those things right off front, would that money be better spent on forage production, on maintaining your grass, on managing it properly, getting it to its full potential? Would it be better spent on buying more cattle? I don't know the answer to that for each and every one of us. I know for me, the answer would be I would buy some more cattle.
Now, eventually, when you do get big enough, you have to have equipment. You have to have a good set of pens. For example, this morning, I had 2 bulls fighting out here. I don't know how long they've been going at it when I got here. So, I had to bust those bulls up. I got one pinned off in here, letting him cool down. You know, it's going to be hot today. It's going to be warm. They can't be out here fighting like that. So at some point, yes, you have to have these things. But right right off the bat, when you got 10 head of cattle and you got one bull, this particular issue may not be a problem. You know, the operations that grow usually grow slower than people think. They reinvest slowly, they manage forage first, they manage their stocking rate, and they manage their overhead. And we make a lot of boring decisions repeatedly. There's usually not one giant breakthrough moment. It's years of improving grass, improving cattle, improving your infrastructure, and trying not to bury the operation financially. Most sustainable cattle operations aren't built fast. They're built patiently. And honestly, that's probably the least exciting thing you want to hear online. But it is the one that we've seen work over and over. And look, if somebody just wants a few cows to enjoy, there's nothing wrong with that either. Not every place has to become some giant cattle operation. But if your goal is growth, then eventually the forage has to support the cows. The cows have to support the operation, and your decisions have to support long-term sustainability. Because if the order gets reversed, a lot of operations just stay stuck.
So once again, there's not one correct answer. The answer is what's best for your operation.
What's something you needed that really didn't move your operation forward? Let me know in the comments.